And Mark, we're going to close the podcast talking a little bit about the XFL. Before we do, make sure to check out patreon.com/mostvaluable podcast. Help us out. Bronze level, you get access to our MVP Discord. Can talk to the MVP guys anytime, any
Tell us what's
day.
up.
It's really 24-hour, like 24/7 access.
Yeah.
Well, really not that because I got to sleep. But it's one of the only times you get 24/7 access to the MVP crew. Silver membership, you can vote on podcast topics for us to talk about. And then the gold membership, you can join podcasts and talk about it exactly what you would like to talk about. But Mark, let's close things out. The XFL kind of in the news this week because they, on Monday, announced a multi-year agreement with not just ESPN, but Fox Sports to televise their games starting in the first 2020 season. XFL games will air weekly on broadcast TV, ABC and Fox, complemented by games on cable, ESPN, ESPN2, FS1, FS2. The XFL's TV schedule will feature back-to-back games each Saturday at 2 p.m. and 2 games on Sunday afternoons. So the thing I want to ask you is kind of a very easy question. It's not necessarily about the TV contract. It's more about the XFL in a whole, because I don't think we've talked about the XFL since Mr. Vince McMahon said that it was coming back. And I'm looking at it going, it kind of looks like a real logo. That's not the XFL I remember. Where's the big black ball that I hated playing with out in the backyard? Because it's like I can't get my hand around this monstrosity. Is this new XFL going to be a success, or is it going to be another failure?
Well, they're certainly set up better, is what I'll say, than the Alliance was. The Alliance was kind of trying to do their own thing. For a while, they had this app they were going to do. They were going to try and not just kind of be streamed with no advertisers, like was the original plan. It didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work. We all know it didn't work.
It wasn't making money.
We all know they failed. And that's the thing about a sports league like this. You have to assume you're going to lose money for, I'm going to say, a few years because of the upfront costs. And that's really any business. You ask any business owner you know, how long did it take for them to start cashing paychecks? It takes a little while. So, with that being said, I think we kind of expect it with the XFL that they're going to be in rough shape as well. But they are set up better because Vince McMahon already has, his connections to TV, and the Alliance had their connections to the NFL. And they were hoping the NFL is going to embrace us, and that will keep us afloat. What the XFL is saying, or Vince is saying, I got money, I can keep us afloat until this thing becomes successful. The thing that I really just question, and what the Alliance proved to me, I've said it on the podcast multiple times, it proved to me that the talent level just isn't there.
Yeah.
When you get out of the NFL, the talent just is not there to keep it that interesting for anyone who's not going to be a diehard fan. The person who went onto the Alliance's subreddit and said, I am a fan of this team and I will be a fan of that team. I am going and buying shirts right now. That person is still an Alliance fan because they decided they would be. The average person is not going to care. They'll tune in week 1, maybe week 2. Eventually, they're going to kind of fizzle out, I think, the way that the Alliance fizzled out, the way the original XFL fizzled out, the way Arena Football fizzled out, the way everything USFL fizzles out. Everything fizzles out because when it comes down to it, the reason why the NFL is so damn successful, because it's been there forever. It's been there for 100 years.
Well, and I mean, the thing that I kind of compare it to is, first off, the thing that I like about the XFL, and I like this about the AAF as well, but they were trying to be like the minor league of the NFL, so it didn't quite work. The XFL, I feel like, is trying to be its own thing.
Which I think would make it not work even more.
Well, the thing that I like, the thing that makes me feel like you've got a fighting chance is you're not trying to compete with the NFL. The schedule right now, as I am looking at it, Week 1 is going to start February 8th, which I feel like might be the week after or the week before the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably right after.
So I'm assuming like right after the Super Bowl, here's the XFL on Fox and ESPN. And it only runs until April 26th. So a similar schedule, a little bit longer, I want to say, than the Alliance. It's going to be a full 10-week season. Then we have, so basically a 10-week season with the last 2 weeks, 9 and 10, having games on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So first 8 weeks are just 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Then they're going to have 1 on Thursday, 1 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday for the last 2 weeks of the season, weeks 9 and weeks 10. Then the playoffs will be 2 playoff games, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, being the next Sunday, April 26th. The championship game will be on ESPN. If we make it there, remember that. But the thing I think back to is the AFL. Not the AFL, I'm thinking the USFL.
Yeah.
The USFL was successful because A, it didn't compete with the NFL at first, and number 2, it had names. That is the thing that is going to help the NFL. It had names. Herschel Walker was a running back. I think he played, for the Generals in the USFL? They had guys like, I think Jim Kelly was in the USFL. This is a little bit before I was I was really young when the USFL was a thing, but it didn't fail until Donald Trump said, hey, let's try to compete with the NFL. And they basically got swatted and squashed like a bug. If the XFL stays off of the NFL's turf, they get some big names, like they have to get names that are going to draw people in. They have a fighting chance for this to be successful in my mind.
But why would anybody decide to go play for the XFL instead of the NFL?
And that to me is where the contracts are going to be. That to me is the most crucial part to this. Because A, I've heard that the money is not going to be as lucrative. Contracts are not going to be as lucrative to the NFL. Here's the other thing that I just want to throw out there that I wonder, because I haven't read anything about the contracts in the XFL for this new version of it, 2.0. If anyone else has heard differently, please point me in the direction of an article that does, because I can't find one. The thing that I will find interesting is, will the contracts be actual contracts and these players will be actual employees, or will it be similar to what we're seeing with WWE, where those wrestlers are not actual employees, they are contracted workers? Because if the XFL goes that route, then I don't think it doesn't have a success rate in my future, because why would I go to the XFL to be a contracted worker and not an employee? I'll just try to be in the NFL where I'm an employee.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of those type of employee, type of things, or human relations kind of things. NFL has a stronger, strong union. I was going to say stronger, but we have no idea if the XFL will have one or not. I'm going to imagine Vince McMahon wants nothing to do with a union.
Yeah, because the WWE doesn't have a union for wrestlers.
Yeah. And they've been around for a really long time. The other thing, when the USFL competed with the NFL, or I should say lasted in the same realm, it was the 80s. Those contracts were much, much smaller. Any player who thinks they will be good wants to play in the NFL because of the money. The thing I think the XFL could do well, if they say, we'll do better on your health insurance or something like that, then you might get some of those kind of mid-tier players to say, you know what, maybe I go play over here because I'm going to get hit a lot. This CTE thing kind of scares me, and at least these guys are going to help me pay for my medical bills in a better way than the NFL could.
The thing I'm looking at here is, so this is an article, jeffperlman.com, has the 25 best USFL players. The guys that I recognize from this list, the first one down is number 12, Reggie White. And I'm going from 25 down. So Reggie White is 1. Gary Anderson is another. He's 8 on this list. Jim Kelly is at 5. Herschel Walker is at 3. 3 of the 25 are who I recognize. And maybe people will go, well, Ricky, you're too young for the USFL. That's why you only know those few names. But it's like, to me, that's the thing for the XFL. Like, for example, I saw an article where apparently Oliver Luck, who's the commissioner of the XFL, that to me is another thing I think is a step in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Vince McMahon is not the commissioner of the XFL. He has a guy in place like Oliver Luck, and I don't really know if, I don't know off the top of my head if Oliver Luck has the right credentials. I know he's a football guy, and that's at least a step in the right direction. But that's what I like a little bit, is that you actually have a football guy as the commissioner of this league and not Vince McMahon. It's not a wrestling guy trying to run a football league. It's a wrestling guy owning it. And hey, I'm going to let you run it because you're a football guy and you know what football league should be like.
Yeah, and I think there should be a part of that. But you know what? The Alliance had football guys
they had,
all over it.
Polian?
Yeah, and it didn't
guy?
And it didn't matter. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter really when it comes down to it. The big question for me, and I remember this came up in our group chat with Sean, where he was trying to say that the Alliance didn't have he was saying didn't have a business plan, but I think what he meant was didn't have a good enough business plan, because no one's going to go into business without one.
Yeah.
And Vince McMahon had a proven track record as this kind of entertainer, or setting up entertainers.
And that's why the XFL was what it was before.
Exactly. And he's trying to kind of rein himself in a little bit. But the thing I sit here and say, Vince McMahon is an old guy. Mm-hmm. He's an old guy who has a lot of money. How much money is he really going to be willing to lose, is my question. Because for a fact, he will lose money on this league. It's a guarantee money will be lost for at least 2 full seasons. So, with that being said, how much does he want to lose? And the other part is, like I said, and I don't know how old he is. Someone can let me know, or I can just Google it.
Vince.
How old is Vince?
I'll look it up while you talk.
So Vince McMahon's an old guy. How does he want to have, towards the end of his life, I'm assuming he's like 70 or something like that, isn't he?
Close.
What is he, like 69?
73.
73. Oh, I was going to go the other way. Yeah.
He's going to be, he turned 74 on August 24th.
So he will be 74 years old before this season gets going. This first season of the new XFL.
Yep.
Towards the end of his life, when he's thinking about his legacy, does he really want one of the last things he does to be a failure?
I don't think he cares. If he's dead, he doesn't give a shit.
A guy like that who makes that much money, whose name is that well known, he cares about his legacy.
Well, and the thing to me is, of course, it's a video. So I watched a video today of Oliver Luck was on Golic and Wingo. And they basically asked him about the league. Like, how much is Vince invested in this? And Oliver, I don't know if this is just him talking or if this is...
I mean, he's not going to be like, oh, Vince doesn't give a shit.
Like, from what he was saying, he kind of made it sound like the game plan is... Like, they have a 3-year business plan. Like, Vince for sure knows that it might not be successful year 1. It might not even be successful year 2. But by year 3, that's when we really start having to making money. And here's the thing that we didn't bring up that I'm going to throw out there that I remember Vince McMahon saying when he announced this league. And I don't know if it's enough to make more people interested, but remember what he said at that first announcement. Everything that we are hating about the NFL, the hits just aren't the same as they used to be. The game ain't the same as it used to be.
Yeah.
He's making it sound like the XFL is not going to be like that. Now,
he say the pledge thing, like we're going to stand for the national anthem.
Basically.
Wasn't he the guy who said that?
Maybe. I just remember it. It seemed like when he announced it, like he was really harping on the things that we don't like with the NFL right now and how the game is getting soft. Some people would say. I look at it and go, oh, well, players don't want to die before they're 30.
I mean, it's a very political thing of What don't you like? Oh, you don't like that? We're not going to do that. You know, I'm against the things that you hate, and I'm against the things you hate too. That's what Vince McMahon is trying to do.
You like the things that he likes, but I said, well, I'm in a circle.
Vince McMahon is doing exactly that. He is just saying, whatever you don't like about the NFL, I guarantee you won't have it here.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that they're missing, and here's the thing why nobody cared about the Alliance. What was the Alliance? Is it a big issue with their play? There was 2 good quarterbacks in that whole league. Of 8 teams, there were 2 good quarterbacks. 2 good quarterbacks that will not be able to be NFL caliber quarterbacks, most likely. Maybe we'll have Kurt Warner-like surprise. But the XFL is going to run into the same problem. The good players from the Alliance have already kind of gotten picked off, and they're in the NFL now. The XFL will still fall from the same issue of they will not have good enough talent. You might have hard hits, but the players just won't be good enough for me to care and me to be interested in it.
Yeah, and that kind of circles back to the point that I made. Until they get a name, like, are they going to bank on a Tim Tebow? Are they going to bank on a Johnny Manziel? But yet again,
Tim Tebow's old.
Well, not just that. It's one of these things where I look at it and I go, but you're still getting guys that are out of the NFL. Like the thing with Herschel Walker, and I believe this was true in the USFL. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. He could have played, like he didn't want to play in the NFL right away. He wanted to play in the USFL.
Kelly chose to play in the USFL. He made that choice. He picked this over it.
And I don't know if you get I don't know if you get that
the
in
league
this day and age.
They won't be comparable. There's not going to be a single first-round pick that's going to say, I'll pass up on the millions of dollars to go get about, I don't know, 600,000 if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
I want to say that I heard that the salary for a starting quarterback on one of their teams is like the same as almost a third stringer on an NFL team. So it's like, okay, I can go to the XFL and basically be a third stringer that's starting.
Yeah. And some players might care about starting more than anything, but I still think when it comes down to it, these guys want to get 31. Yeah, these guys want to get paid.
Here's the last question I'll ask you is when it comes to the XFL, and fuck, I just forgot my question. Basically, the thing I'm going to ask to end it as I'm trying. Have you ever forgotten a question and you're like, great, I have to remember it on the spot? What were you talking about before we, last thing you said?
Talent's just not there, and people are going to want to get the bigger paychecks in the NFL.
Yeah, I completely forgot what I was going to ask, so I'm just going to end the segment.
Talent's not there.
I hate
talent's just not there.
It's basically, do you think that that was it.
All
Bingo.
Right.
The coaches, though, they've got Mark Trestman and Bob Stoops. Is that going to matter?
You're going to try and convince me that Mark Trestman is a good quarterback?
More so Bob
coach?
Stoops, because Stoops was the guy who made a name at Oklahoma. Now he's going to be the thing that's interesting, not just the coach, they're the GM also.
But here's the thing, which is a terrible idea. Ask Chip Kelly how bad of an idea that
Bill
is.
Bill Belichick's doing it.
Bill Belichick is the one and only who has done it successfully. Anybody else fails. Here's the thing. I don't care how good that coach is if he still doesn't have good players.
True.
And once again, I'm going to come back to it. Mark Trestman might be like a example of a guy who failed and maybe would stay with the XFL. But if anybody is a good coach in the XFL and has an offer to come to the NFL, they will take it in a heartbeat.
Exactly. And that's the thing where I'll be completely honest. I would love a second I would love a second
I just want minor league football.
Like that I would love a successful second football season that is in the NFL offseason. But I don't want it to be like the AAF or the Alliance. I watched week 1, week 2, and then I was like, all right, I'll keep track of Memphis because I decided I'm going to be a fan of them.
Hey, we got to see their best season ever, so
it
was a pretty damn good
year
time.
Of the Memphis Express, even though I kind of wish I was an Apollo fan. But because they were really good. But the
doesn't
thing
matter.
is,
won exactly the same amount of championships as the Express did.
I want this to be successful. I'm just not super positive that it's going to be successful.
I think
the thing that I know is it's not going to fold year 1 like the AAF
Yeah.
did, because Vince will throw money at it, especially in year one.
I do believe that it will make it to a second season.
We will get a championship game.
Well, we got one last time. We had
No,
a
I'm
champion.
saying the Alliance. We didn't
No,
get
I
our
know.
championship
I'm saying with the
game.
XFL, we
Yeah.
got a championship last time. No reason why we can't get another one, but it's just when it comes down to it, I
Remember the
just don't believe
kickoffs
it.
in that game?
Yeah, they were
Where it
ridiculous.
wasn't a kickoff. It was we're putting the ball at center field, and it's basically a 40-yard dash for the ball.
It's kind of a, you want to die? This is how you die.
But did you die? But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in that comment section. Make sure to hit us up on patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. You can get tons of rewards at the bronze, silver, and gold tier by also helping us out, making sure we can get a new studio this year. That would be dope because this box is small and we really don't have a lot of space to do anything. Like I would love to have a table where it's like Mark and I are on the same side of it, looking at the camera compared to like at ourselves, and I have to turn at a weird angle. But patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. Also, rate us on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. 5-star ratings really go far. We love reading those reviews. Get us into the ears of more people, please. We only do so with your help. Also, make sure to let us know what you're thinking about anything we talked about today, especially if you're listening on podcast services around the world as you listen to the podcast in its full glory. But if you're on YouTube, thank you guys for watching. If you're on podcast services, thank you also. And as always, have a good day, everybody.